There's a state of being within us all that is in between action and rest. It's where you don't feel a push or a pull to do anything at all. It's neutral. And if you are judging it as pointless, meaningless, or like stagnation, you are unconsciously giving it a false meaning. This space is neutral. It's before action. It's before anything arises within yourself. It's like still water. It can easily feel like a threat, and it has certainly done that for me for a long time, where I've tried to figure it out, why I don't feel alive, what I should do instead to get going, to get my inner engine alive again. And instead, I end up feeling drained and consumed in a way that doesn't feel good. It's like I've pushed myself beyond the boundaries that feels right within myself. Or I've misread the signals as rest. I thought that if I'm just sitting here or laying down, maybe I will come back online. But instead, what ended up happening was that I waited. I waited for something to happen. And this waiting can feel very frustrating, because with just a slightly adjustment, the waiting can turn into something active, where you are relating to yourself in the state that you're in. But if you're waiting for something to happen, you will wait forever. Nothing will happen. And then you try to force yourself into motion again, but it doesn't feel good because you are pushing against your own system. And when you're just standing still, it feels like you're stagnating. It's weird, right? You don't have a signal to move, to engage. But at the same time, you can't sit on your ass for the whole day, just waiting for something to happen. You think you're being present, but you're waiting. And as long as you're waiting, nothing will change. You keep the cycle alive of wandering around in this no man's land where you don't recognize yourself anymore. But there is something more subtle to this. It's not a matter of pushing your way into motion that most people are talking about. I recently saw a podcast with Tony Robbins and Alex Hermosi, where Tony were talking about the greater cause, having goals, having big visions. I'm gonna help this amount of people in this amount of time. And of course, you can let that be a driving force in your life. But if you're here, you probably see through that approach to life that a lot of coaches and mentors online are talking about. They speak about finding your vision, finding your goal, finding your direction, and then go for it. But what if you are not built in that way? What if that is actually draining for you? That the goal and vision and everything can come anyways, but not in the way that you expected. So if we just stop here for a little bit, maybe you find yourself in this like empty space right now, where you don't feel any pull or push into anything. You're just being here. And you know how to wait. You know how to just sit on your ass for some time, right? But what if that's also preventing you from feeling alive? Because that's what we all want to some degree, right? To feel a sense of aliveness. To feel like we want to explore the world that we are in. Because we are here and we have the choice of how we want to live our lives. But with the choice, it's also easy to either become overwhelmed and be paralyzed, or getting too narrow and imprison ourselves. So anyways, we are here. So when you don't feel a push or pull, it feels like you're stagnating. It feels like, you know, this feeling of like, now what? Now what? Right? And if you're just waiting for something to happen, nothing will happen. And if you push, you will end up feeling drained, and it will feel manufactured and fake to some degree. So I mentioned it before, but let's go back to the perspective shift here. You go from waiting for something to happen, waiting for some inspiration or a pull to want to engage or whatever, into relating. You go from waiting to relating. So what are you relating with? You're relating with a state of being that you're in. And this relationship needs nurturing, right? Think of it like, you know, if it's a very good friend of yours, you make some effort to listen to them, to understand them, to compromise some time, and so that you can have a good time together, right? But with this inner friend of yours, this state of being that you're in, you're probably very judgmental, or you want it to go away, or you are just sitting here in your own misery, stating that it's pointless. But what if it's not pointless at all? What if this is your foundation? What if this is like still water that hasn't been touched yet? There's no waves. There's no motion. But the cool thing with a still lake, for example, is that it reflects the world perfectly when there is no motion. I myself enjoy taking photos with my camera, and I love taking photos, for example, at a lake that is completely still, and then you see the treetops reflected in the water perfectly, right? And then suddenly it starts to move, and the reflection fades a bit because it's in motion. So what I'm pointing to here is that there is a relationship here to the state of being that needs to be nurtured. It's nothing to to wait out or to prefer motion where you feel alive. It's actually the opposite. You don't do to feel alive. You feel alive and then you do. And you feel alive when you meet yourself where you are. You relate to yourself as a good friend or a child that needs care. Then you don't need to have these self-talks with yourself where I need to push through and this time is just like, go through it. This is more foundational. What if this can unlock your whole life where you can function really well in this world? That this state that you're repeating, coming back to on repeat, right? What if this is actually the key that you've overwatched, that you've thought that you need to wait it out or get going anyways? But what if there is an aliveness to be found within this as well that is very precious and intimate, that doesn't need anything from you more than being met and not overlooked, but seen?